Welcome into Western Edge Sailors, y'all. My name's Stephen K. Morris. This is the Outsider Songwriter Spotlight Series. We're glad everybody's out here alive and well, enjoying an evening in Fredericksburg. If you've been to the show, you know what it's all about. This is about the songwriter, the road they travel, where they've been, and where they're going. Each week I invite a different songwriter guest to the show and to share their wares, as we say. And this week is Mr. John Arthur Martinez. How you doing, John Arthur?
I'm doing much better than expected. Thank you.
You had a little bit of fun getting here today. You left Port A and the road was a little longer than you anticipated, I think.
Sometimes the road takes twists and turns, and you go down different side streets that you didn't expect to be on. Today we were on a side street that took us to Smolleck's Barbecue. And the owners connected us with the local auto parts place, which connected us with Tommy, who was out of the area, and connected us with Mark and Sons, who wound up helping us make sure we had a good battery in the truck. So
yeah, summertime gets to those batteries, don't they? Well, we're glad you made it safe and sound, and you look like you're about 15 minutes off the beach today.
It feels good.
You said y'all had a good trip down there, and
it was a good trip.
I guess the hurricane didn't ruin your trip.
Well, no. In fact, it's going to be in the next song that Yvonne, my wife, and I are writing together. She co-wrote with me "The River of Love" and a few other songs from my recordings. And this time we're writing a song about the beach experience. Every songwriter has to write a song about the beach experience, and so. This particular experience was amazing because we were supposed to be in the throes of a tropical storm, Hannah, which became a hurricane, Category 1 only, thank goodness, but it diminished the electricity capacity of the island for some time. And anyway, we wound up getting a great deal on the little getaway that we had in Port A, and they said it's going to be rain every day, and we didn't get rain until we finally were leaving Port Aransas, when we got some rain around Mathis, Texas, and we pulled in, got some barbecue when the whole battery weakness was exposed. But other than that, it was just a great experience up until that point.
Yeah, well, I'm glad y'all had a great trip and probably some much needed rest and leisure time.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a busy guy in the music business, and this year has been a little different for all of us.
Not as busy as normal this year.
Yeah, not as busy as normal, but you've been still making the rounds. I know you're no stranger to Western Edge here. You have the third Thursday of the month, and you generally invite either Mike Blakely or Kurt Bomber to join you. Other fantastic musicians we all know, and
John Greenberg has joined me as well. And
yeah,
in fact, one of them that we did with Blakely was with Greenberg and Blakely. It was a lot of fun because those two guys can make anybody sound good with their harmonies.
They are good, and the guitar playing out of John Greenberg is something to watch and behold. Well, I think Mike will be on this show in your seat in a couple weeks, but tonight we get to hear some of your fine songs, and you and Mike have actually co-written quite a few songs. And
at least 73 that we can recall.
Yes. I don't know why you're still counting at that point. Well, John, if you don't mind introducing your music, it'd be great to hear a song.
I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with one of the newest songs. Just picture yourself driving back from Fredericksburg, Texas. You live in San Angelo, where my wife and her family is from, and you decide rather than take the main roads, you decide you're going to take the back roads through Mason, and you wind up on a ranch road there, and you don't even know what number ranch road it is, and you see these three white horses approaching you. Well, this actually happened to my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, and they took a photograph. They didn't see any bridle on those horses. They didn't see a saddle on the horses. And from their perspective, they didn't see any branding marks. And so they thought, wow. So they shared that with me. They shared that photograph, and they said, perhaps you can use this image in one of your songs. And I got to thinking about my grandfather's farm, the white horse that very few people could ride. I got to thinking about the cotton fields. Of course, between here and San Angelo, there's some cotton fields. I thought thought about that cotton field where I picked cotton next to my grandfather, and I thought, well, maybe even going back further than that, these at one time were Comanche lands, and I thought about it. I wove all of that into this song, and I hope you like it. I took a route less traveled by a rolling ranching road. There were no 18-wheelers, there were no heavy loads, where I waved to a weathered man in a worn-out step-side truck. It made me smile when he waved back on the freeways, no such luck. We drove through miles of cotton fields and white clouds in the sky, so the white streaks in the distance, they barely caught my eye. I pulled onto the shoulder as the ghosts moved into focus. Was it my imagination? 3 cotton-colored horses, 3 white Spanish horses across Comanche lands, 3 white Spanish horses, untamed with no man's brand, no bridle and no saddle. They were running straight for me. 3 white Spanish horses, wild and free. This vision led me to a time, no cattle guards and fences, to a land not yet named Texas. When they first came with their horses, I could picture open spaces with Comanche riding bareback. On the horses they had captured herds of bison still intact. It led me to the cotton field I worked by Grandpa's side. It led me to the white horse that only he could ride. Then I saw the weathered man again. He drove with more conviction. He pulled a 2-horse trailer. I soon understood his mission. 3 white Spanish horses across Comanche lands, 3 white Spanish horses, untamed with no man's brand, no bridle and no saddle. They were running straight for me. 3 white Spanish horses, wild and free. The old man hollered cotton, the lead horse turned his way. The younger horses followed into the open gate. They traveled at a horse's trot, Cotton followed still unsaddled, as they headed for his homestead in this land of horse and cattle. 3 white Spanish horses across Comanche lands, 3 white Spanish horses, untamed with no man's brand, no bridle, no saddle. They were running straight for me. 3 white Spanish horses, wild and free. 3 white Spanish horses, wild and free. 3 white Spanish horses, wild and free. Thank you much.
Mr. John Arthur Martinez, glad to have you in the house, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate our listeners right here at Western Edge and also out on KFAN 107.9 FM, Texas Rebel Radio, right here in Fredericksburg. It's nice to have those stations that are still spinning the music they want to, right?
Texas Rebel Radio's been doing this for a long time. In fact, when I had a cassette tape that my former drummer, Gary Delt, snuck into the KFAN without my permission, they began playing it, and Gary said, "They're playing your song on the radio already." And I said, "Well, I haven't even released it." He said, "Well, I snuck them a cassette tape that you gave me." And that was a song called No Damn Trace.
Is that
and
right?
So Texas Rebel Radio has been playing my music since that. That was back in the 1900s.
Yeah, way back last century. Well, John, you've been around a while then, I guess. It's funny to say that, but we're already 20 years in, to the 20s. So 2000s. I'm holding what I think is your newest album, and it's For the Love of Western Swing and Other Love Songs. This is a bunch of originals, some co-writes, and then you have some Bob Wills and some of probably your favorites that you've heard over the years.
Yes. Now, when you do Bob Wills, you better not try to copy Bob Wills. You have to do it your own way. And so we did a Bob Wills standard called Roly Poly, but half of it's in Spanish. So,
oh, there you go. Yeah. And that's kind of a tip of the hat to some of your heritage.
Some of my closest relatives are Mexican, yes.
Yeah. Strangely enough. John, you're over in Marble Falls. How long have you been around Marble Falls?
I grew up in Marble Falls. I've grown up in the hill country. In fact, I've been coming to Gillespie County almost all my life. My mother remarried my stepfather. We moved to Round Mountain, Texas. That's in Blanco County. And one of the best junkyards for automobile, whenever you come from a family that does everything by hand, my grandfather and my stepdad would come to Gillespie County to the junkyards here. There's a great one in Stonewall, in fact, and they still spoke German back there behind the office. And you went back there and you just pulled your own part off the automobile that you needed, and you fixed your car with it. And so, I've been coming to this neck of the woods for a long time.
Yeah, so it's been home, and you've seen it grow up now, and it's kind of evolved and changed quite a bit. So.
This was back when they were first planting peach trees. The Germans quickly realized that if they rotated the cotton fields with peaches, that the lands would thrive. And, and they, of course, they had cattle as well, but cattle and cotton turned to peach lands. And then the peach farmers thought, well, we can start growing grapes around here, too. And that turned into something pretty good.
Yeah, this lush little valley is good for growing crops. So it has evolved, and it's provided us a playground to have lots of great venues to play music. And the folks that want to come out and get a taste of the hill country and all the originals like wine and music. So, well, John, I'd love to hear another tune if you're ready to play one for us.
I've got another new one. These are all songs from my 15th album. He's showing you the 14th album, but I'm working on my 15th album. Whenever you have fewer gigs and you're at home a lot, you do a lot of songwriting. Yeah. And so here I was. This was just after the anniversary, and my wife and I were given this little getaway to a B&B by these folks from the University of Texas who were raising scholarships for folks in Gillespie County. And they asked us to play and share some of my songs and my stories. And during that trip, my wife, I noticed, was wearing the old ring that I had given her. And I was curious as to why she wasn't wearing the newer one that I had purchased for her at a previous anniversary. And she said, well, I still like that old pawn shop ring better. Mm-hmm. And I thought, there's my next song right there. The man behind the counter gladly took my fine guitar. He offered to bend Franklin's as he chewed on his cigar. It was my prized possession, the most expensive thing. I sold my handmade Washburn for her pawn shop wedding ring. Once upon a pawn shop ring, our love was shared aloud. The symbol of eternity, once someone's broken vow. But God can work His miracles through every little thing. He works in the strangest ways. Once upon a pawn shop ring. on our anniversary, I bought a brand new band, never worn by any woman, never sold to any man. She whispered as she opened the small box from the store. Our old pawn shop wedding ring still means so much more. Once upon a pawn shop ring, our love was shared aloud, the symbol of eternity, once someone's broken vow. But God can work His miracles through every little thing. He works in the strangest ways. Once upon a pawn shop ring, God can work His miracles through every little thing. He works in the strangest ways. Once upon a pawn shop ring.
Very nice.
Thank you. Now that's kind of country, isn't it?
It's a country song.
I could smell the hay whenever I was writing that.
That's a nice tune. The only experience I had probably went the other direction. There's a pawn shop somewhere that has one of my old rings, and it was
that might have been your old wedding ring that we got. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't one of those. I was a young, desperate man. I knew I had to party more than have an old class ring, and that was a special one to let go of, but I did, and I didn't get it back. So somebody's got it melted into potentially a wedding ring. Maybe it's doing somebody some better good than it was doing me.
Well, those of you who know guitars know that George Washburn made a lot of his early guitars by hand, and they were numbered. And this was one of the numbered. It's a beautiful Spanish style thin body George Washburn, and it's just a beautiful guitar. And the guy at the pawn shop, you know, they don't give you that much up front because they expect you to buy it back. And anyway, a few years later, I go through the pawn shops, and I went back to that same pawn shop, and I actually saw that guitar that somebody else had pawned.
Did you really?
And I wound up buying back my old guitar. So I got that pawn shop guitar back.
Well, that's another song, yeah.
That is another song.
That's nice. I was wondering if you ever got it back.
Yeah.
John, was music something in your family? Was it a tradition with some of your family members?
Sure it was. In fact, my father, Adam Correa Martinez, a very proud man from East Austin, played drums many years with a band called the Texas Drovers. And before that, he played with a band called, I can't remember the name of the band, but it was with an artist named Alfonso Ramos. And Ramos had a band with another guy, Guerrero, and they my dad was a drummer, and anyway, this whole movement called Tejano was evolving about that time in Austin and San Antonio, and Ruben Ramos was the little brother of Alfonso Ramos, and Ruben became a Grammy winner, and I tell you all this because my dad just passed away. And Ruben Ramos shared a really nice message with me that my father was part of that movement because Ruben played drums also in the family. And so there were times when Ruben wanted to sing up front, and they'd bring my dad to play in drums so Ruben could sing up front. And he said, so my dad was part of his evolving into the front man and evolving into the Grammy Award winner that he is. So
wow, that's interesting history that I wasn't familiar with all that. So.
I wasn't familiar with all that either. Ruben told me this after my father had passed. That he gave me all of that history of it because my dad never talked about those early days as much.
Did he not? Yeah. Did y'all have a chance to play together much?
I wasn't good enough to play with my dad when he was still playing. In all honesty, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was a good songwriter, And I remember my dad. He would always caution me sometimes in the early days, you're a little bit nervous to bare your soul, but he would tell it. He said, "Man, whenever you sing something, you got to sing it like you mean it." He said, "Don't go through the motions." He said, "It's got to come from in here."
Good
so
advice.
so if you guys ever catch me going through the motions, you have my permission to jerk me off the stage, okay? I mean it. If you ever see me anywhere in the hill country and I'm just going through the motions, just jerk me off the stage and say, "Okay, you're done."
I know some of the folks in here will take you up on that if they have the
would.
opportunity.
I wish they would.
There's Mr. John Arthur, y'all. You can look him up online, johnarthurmartinez.net,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering
Yes, I'm a
right.
tennis player, former tennis player.
Yeah, we have that in common. I love tennis, and I haven't played as much as you have as of recent, but I have been itching to call you at some point and go out and hit a ball again.
You're not going to believe it. I played 4 sets on Saturday.
Did you? Yeah. And was that prior to your trip to the beach?
Yes,
I guess you got to recover on the beach.
Yes.
Now, you stay pretty competitive with tennis.
I do stay pretty competitive.
Yeah. Is it something you did in school? Or
I played college tennis at the University of Mary Hardin Baylor.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very fun. It's great to get back into the sports. Mine recently has been archery. I've been spending a lot of time outside shooting bow during all of our stay-at-home time, and it's good to keep the body active too, as well as the mind. Well, John, if you're ready.
You know, I thought I'd do something that's set right here in this region. There's a place called Cherry Springs Dance Hall that some of you may or may not be familiar with. Oh, yes, there's a lady that knows Cherry Springs.
Yeah.
Good. Well, back in Cherry Springs' heyday, it was home to some of the biggest shows, not only in all of Fredericksburg and Gillespie County, but some of the biggest shows in all of Texas. Hank Williams played at Cherry Springs, and Patsy Cline, Chuck Berry, even though he couldn't stay or eat anywhere in the area, he played Cherry Springs Dance Hall. Yeah.
He's one I always wanted to see.
Yeah, amazing. And Elvis Presley's first tour went through Cherry Springs. And so anyway, I wrote a song with my buddy Ron Knuth. I call this one the Cherry Springs Swing. Incidentally, when Elvis played Cherry Springs, Texas, the granddaughter of the owners back then, she was in here, and she came up to me and she said, "Do you know that they got his name wrong on the poster? They spelt it Clovis Presley."
Clovis.
Yes, yes. And I said, "No." And she said, "And do you know they booed him at Cherry's? You know, because Elvis was a little." And I said, "No." She said, "Yeah, this is all true." She said, "I said, well, so I said, thank you. I have a little bit more to share historically then."
That's pretty neat.
So I'm going to do the Cherry Springs Swing in honor of Clovis Presley. Go west, young man, to Cherry Springs, fiddler's row, swing is king, finest playing for the door, like the Texas troubadour. Walk the floor where E.T. cried the night he heard his child died. Hear a spirit from above the rafters echo faded love. Elvis caught a rising star, saw Chuck Berry's red guitar, Hank the First and Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash once walked the line, shiny boots, it's Saturday night, you'll swear Bob Wills is still alive. German folks still love to sing the Cherry Springs Swing. Juba-ba, juba-juba-da-ba-doo-ba-da-ba, juba-juba-da-ba-doo-ba-da-ba, juba-juba-da-ba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-ba, juba-da-ba, juba-juba-da-ba-doo-ba-da-ba, juba-juba-da-ba-doo-ba-da-ba, juba-juba-da-ba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Take it away. It's just outside Germantown. You'll hear the fiddle man break down. The bar will take you back in time. A young Ray Price was in his prime, founded by a native son before the West was truly won. What a run for the old dance hall, but is it time for one last call? Buck and Lefty took the stage, even Willie back in its heyday. The Negro Swing Band played there too, and Marty Robbins sang too. Johnny Boot did Saturday Bop, you'll swear Bob Wills is still alive. The German folks still love to sing the Cherry Springs Swing. Juba-da-ba, juba juba da doo da ba, juba juba da doo da ba, juba juba da doo da ba ba ba, juba da ba, juba juba da doo da ba, juba juba da doo da ba, juba juba da doo da ba ba ba.
All right. Mr. John Arthur Martinez, y'all.
Thank you.
You probably need a deep breath after that one.
You got to take. There's a lot of words.
Yeah. You can't have too many of those wines before you try to get those lyrics out, right? Or does it help?
This is a local wine, too, I'm drinking.
I bet. Which one are you drinking?
It's the Becker Malbec.
Yeah. Becker's a good one, and they're probably one of the oldest and most well-established wineries here in the Hill Country. Speaking of small businesses around the Hill Country, John, I think I'll take this chance to mention our sponsors that help keep this show going. Yeah, they help keep this music alive and sponsor the Outsider Songwriter Spotlight Series. One of those is the Tobacco House. They're purveyors of cheap talk and fine tobacco. They have a great walk-in humidor. They're at 109 South Washington Street across from the Nimitz Museum. Thank you, sir. You can look the Tobacco House up online at TABAK-HAUS. That's the Tobacco House. Also, the Texas Silver Rush. You'll feel like the rock stars they designed for when you shop at the Texas Silver Rush. They have men and women's silver and turquoise jewelry, so check out the Texas Silver Rush on the west end of Main Street. I believe that's 229 West Main Street, just across from Western Edge, where we are on Wednesday nights.
Nice.
Look them up online at thetexassilverrush.com. Last but not least is Majesty Wine Tours. When you're ready to tour the Texas Hill Country, call Majesty Wine Tours. They'll drive you to drink. That's right. They'll get you home safely to your B&B or hotel. They have tour packages online at MajestyWineTours.com, or you can customize your own tour. So call Majesty. They're very educated on the Hill Country, so you'll get more than just the drive. We appreciate those sponsors. They support the live music you're seeing tonight and hearing out there on KFAN 107.9 FM. We also appreciate our YouTube watchers and listeners. Please hit that subscribe button and stay tuned in to the Outsider Songwriter Spotlight Series. Share the news of good songwriters.
Good thing you have that teleprompter right there beside you to remember all of that. I can't believe that.
Sometimes I wish I did. There are days I need it, John. Well, I had something in mind, but you threw me with the teleprompter. The power went dead on it, so that's all right. John, you've been at this a while, and you were one of the. I'd like to talk about this for a minute. You were in I guess I would call it a class of musicians that were some of the, as the television shows got popular with music. You were on. It was Nashville Star, is that right?
Nashville Star was the program on the USA Network. This was before NBC started broadcasting the shows. There were a bunch of amazing, I hate to say contestants because they were more than contestants. These were all singer-songwriters.
Right.
What Columbia Records was doing is they were searching for singer-songwriters. They wanted people who wrote their own music and sang their own music. And they found a kid from Uvalde that could easily have been the caliber of a George Strait, a guy named Prentice Varnon. Man, he was amazing. And I told my wife, I remember early on thinking that Prentice could win this whole thing. And he was the fella who beat me at the Austin local competition. I came in second, and they gave me an at-large invitation to participate at the regional competition in Houston. And there was a young lady from Lindale, Texas, named Miranda Lambert, and she wound up winning the regional competition, and I thought that was it for me. And but they gave me an at-large invitation to be part of the national competition, and there I came in second to a guy named Buddy Jewell, who wound up winning the Columbia Records contract. And you don't have to feel sorry for me, because the exposure from that has led to me doing now 13 tours. This would have been the 14th tour that was canceled in 2020 because of COVID-19. But it's led to me doing these international tours on a regular basis.
That was my next question, is what did you see before and after that experience in your career?
Well, the effect of being on national television and a program that was rebroadcast on Country Music Channel in Australia and the equivalent in Canada and South Africa, oddly enough, and MTV Brazil, etc. It was just rebroadcast all over the world. So when we go to Europe, they actually believe that we're big stars over there.
He's still a
don't
television
don't
star.
tell them any different. Okay.
Well, I was going to mention what a small world it is.
Yeah.
It's fun because that class of musicians, Buddy Jewell, we see him come down to the hill country once in a while, and I think he's buddies with the folks that own the KOA here in town, and get to see Buddy once in a while. And Miranda is still a Texas girl, although
she's doing pretty good for herself.
Yeah, and she's been coming back to Lukenbach.
Texas Rebel Radio's been playing her for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing Miranda in Plano, Texas, at a place you've probably played to, the Leavenworth in Texas, and she was about 14 years old selling beer box hats with the little crimped-on beer toppers around the brim. And
she was a go-getter. You got to give her credit. She was a go-getter.
The first time I saw her was with Rusty Weir, and I knew who Rusty was, and then he invited this young lady up, and she pretty well blew everybody away. She was at it young and still at it. So, well, I'm sure that was a neat and enlightening experience, and we're glad you're...
It was. We all shared the same house. We were all roommates.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did they project y'all together for any... I didn't see all that series, but did they put you together to...
We did some amazing things. Like, for instance, we sang the national anthem on national television for a NASCAR event at the racetrack in what's that? That real fast track with the steep...
up in
Martinsville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. There were some amazing things. We also did commercials together for Chevrolet and for McDonald's. And
yeah, how fun.
Yeah.
Well, John, if you're ready, I'd love to hear another song and share some more music, man.
Why don't I do one of the many? You mentioned my buddy Mike Blakely. Why don't I do one of the songs that I've co-written with my buddy Mike Blakely?
Absolutely. Okay? You have one in mind.
No, whatever one. Which one?
Well, I wanted to bring up today that you've had songs. You've not only toured internationally, but you've had a song play on the International Space Station or in the shuttle, and so you're intergalactic, I guess.
Yeah, well,
and that may change your path if you decide to do that song. But
Mike and I are now intergalactic singer-songwriters because of this song. But I tell you what, I was going to do one for the young lady in pink right here.
All right.
And then I'll come back to that one. This is one of my most requested songs, and I wrote this for my daughter when she was about your age. So I'm going to do it for her.
She's getting shy on you now.
Yeah, she's getting shy now. Plus, Jerry knows all the words to this one.
Mr. John Arthur Martinez, y'all.
Well, there's a big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road. An old brown bottle in a puddle in the cattle guard. June bug beetle in the bottom of the bottle. There's a big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road I am traveling on. And there's a red-headed rider with the radio rearing and the windows down, rocking and reeling to the rhythm of the country sounds. Got his 18-wheeler with his pedal to the metal, and he's headed for the dillo and the bottle in the middle of a little old country road I'm traveling on. Well, he swerved to the right, it's the dillo in the middle. He swerved to the left, it's the puddle in the guard. Next thing you know, he's coming at me. I dive for the bar ditch, what do I see? Big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road. An old brown bottle in the puddle of the cattle guard. There's a June bug beetle in the bottom of the bottle. There's a big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road I'm traveling on. That's all there is to it if you care to sing along. Or if not, you can just count all the poetic devices in the song. There are 73 examples of alliteration and consonants and assonance. So just listen very closely as I sing this next part. Big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road. An old brown bottle in the puddle of the cattle guard. There's a June bug beetle in the bottom of the bottle of the big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road that I am traveling on. And a red-headed rider with the radio rearing the windows down, rocking and reading rhythm of the country sounds. Got his 18-wheeler with his pedals to the middle, he's headed for the dillo in the battle in the middle of a little old country road I'm traveling on. Well, he swerved to the right, but still in the middle. He swerved to the left, pedal in the guard. Next thing you know, he's coming at me, and I dive for the bar ditch. What do I see? Big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road. An old brown bottle in the puddle of the cattle guard. And there's a Juba beetle in the bottom of the bottle of the big armadillo in the middle of a little old country road I am traveling on. Thank you much. Thank you, Mike Blakely.
Thank goodness for armadillos. Oh, John, I don't know how you keep the words straight on that one.
You don't think on.
I've been accused of putting too many words in my songs, and that one's not necessarily too many. It's just the right amount. They're just rapid fire.
You know, the song is only 52 seconds long. So
it's an interlude song, yeah. So, John, do you have, you mentioned earlier, we talked about your new album, but we also mentioned lots of downtime this year. Do you have a project in mind coming up?
I have, I've been working on a song. Now, this one's going to be a challenge for your videographer, but I'm going to see if I can pull this off here.
We can shout out to Mr. Zach Clark, who does the fine video for the YouTube channel and nice editing that he does. Would love to invite y'all to tune in when you can't be here at Western Edge on a Wednesday night. Tune in to YouTube, the Outsiders Songwriter Spotlight Series. That way you can catch the whole show anytime at the push of a button.
Have any of you ever traveled to that beautiful state known as Arizona?
Absolutely, yeah.
If you've been to Arizona, and I first went there, I remember I went through a deluge of, it was just an amazing downpour. I had to pull over to the side of the road because I couldn't see. It was it was during the monsoon season, and as soon as the rain stopped and the sun started shining, and sometimes it happens fairly quickly. I remember there were these huge saguaro cactus, and then I wound up driving into that valley that leads you into Tucson. That's where I was going to live and go to. I went there because I wanted to study creative writing, and I wound up living at the foothills of Mount Lemmon. And years later, my wife and I go back every year to do a show for a group of educators, and they're part of Arizona's the school board there, and they invite us to share our original songs, and me and the fiddler go up there and do that almost every year now. And this last year when we were there in Sedona, I finished this song that I dedicated to all the fine people of Arizona. Last year, I had never been to the Grand Canyon, so last year while everybody was sleeping in the hotel room, the fiddler was asleep, and his wife and my wife, they were still. I snuck out, and I thought I can drive all the way to the Grand Canyon and go there and enjoy the rising sun, and then I can drive back and I can pick them up before we have to fly back through Phoenix. And so we did that, So all of these images are woven into this song that I dedicate to the fine people of Arizona. Listen close, hear the gray wolf speak to La Luna Llena on a human night. A cactus wren, see the bee in her beak as she feeds her young in the morning light. Feel the spirit at Cathedral Rock where Apache prayed the white wings coo. If you meet the red-tailed hawk, say your own before the day is through. You can't begin to understand until you've walked these sacred lands. Dart like a deer through the red rock seams, sage on the breeze, the sun in your face. Float like a fish in a Cochise stream, in the coolest creek on the warmest day. In the desert rain, smell the creosote, or further north, the ponderosa pines. Stop for a spell as the sun sets low. Stop for a spell as the sun sets low on Sonagua trails and Sonoran skies. You can't begin to understand until you've walked these sacred lands. Hear the song the sparrow sings in harmony with the river notes. In the aspens near a Cocosino spring, like the Hopi and the Navajo. Walk the trails of El Gran Cañon, like the Wallapai of the Pueblos. Sit in the shade of a tall piñon and let these wonders fill your souls. You can't begin to understand until you've walked these sacred lands. You can't begin to understand until you've walked these sacred lands. These sacred lands.
Very nice. That's Mr. John Arthur Martinez. Y'all, you can look him up online at johnarthurmartinez.net. He's our guest tonight on The Outsider, and always a fine time listening to John and his songs and stories.
Thank you.
John, if you don't mind, I'll throw one in, give you a little reprieve.
I was hoping you would. I was wondering what was going on.
This is probably the first song I wrote and kept. You won't stop the summer sun from burning hot. Slow the northern blues that turn days cold. Father Time still winds that first watch you bought. Life goes on, time won't hold. Grandpa's been laid to rest after life of working hard. On a borrowed dawn, he punched his last time card. Crying in the kitchen, Grandma's popping pills. Speeding through this life ain't no thrill. Life goes on, time will hold. Dad's days on the job leave Mom all alone, coping with that emptiness syndrome. Now she's marking time till his retirement day, waiting on the company not to pay. And life goes on, time won't hold. Sister, she's dreaming what she might have missed, all over a full Friday night kiss. Now she's washing bottles, singing lonesome lullabies, and her babies only know to cry. Life goes on, time won't hold. Stop the summer sun from burning hot. slow the northern blues, it turned days cold. Father Time still winds that first watch you bought. Life goes on, time won't hold. Life goes on, seasons change, time won't hold. Life goes on, time won't hold. All right, thank you all very much. We appreciate the listeners hanging out tonight here at Western Edge. Welcome in all you guys that have been coming in and sitting down, and we hope you're enjoying The Outsider tonight. My guest, Mr. John Arthur Martinez.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. Thank you.
John's from up near Marble Falls and a lifelong hill country resident, which is rare. You don't always run into folks that, it seems like we've got a lot of folks that have come in post-haste or after their careers, and it must have been nice growing up on the Colorado there and the rivers that go through and the lakes. You're an outdoors guy, John. You spend a fair amount of time getting out. What are some of your other hobbies? We talked about tennis, which is a passion of yours, the sport.
Well, growing up, I did a lot of sports was my thing. My grandfather tried to turn me into a hunter and fisherman like he was, and I enjoy that, and I certainly enjoy the fruits of both of those. But I never became quite the fisherman he was, or quite the hunter that he was. I put all my energy into sports. I played baseball, and I played tennis. Became my sport, but I played all the sports growing up: football, baseball, basketball, golf. I was on the golf team even. But when I was a freshman at Marble Falls High School, I was still 4'11", weighed about 98 pounds. And I remember my dad telling my natural father, the drummer father, and he came up to me after we played Westlake, and Westlake gave us a big beating. And he said, "Mijo, I think you're a little too small for football."
Yeah, he's trying to take care of you there, give you a little extra
and
protection.
I said, Dad, I know I've been taking up the game of tennis, and I'm starting to get pretty good at it. And so anyway, I wound up being a scholarship tennis player. Yeah. So thank you, Dad, for getting me out of that football.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, if you will do us the honor of closing out The Outsider with another song,
I'm happy to do it.
We've got plenty of more music tonight. Any night on a Wednesday night, y'all join us here at Western Edge. This is the end of the radio hour. We appreciate K-Fan, and we've got a couple great DJs from K-Fan. Mr. Big Daddy Waldo is in the house. You can hear him in the early afternoons and up till about 6 o'clock. And Mr. Jerry Sotelo is in the house from KNAF and K-Fan Radio.
Legend
appreciate those guys hanging out.
I tell you what, let me do one that I've been talking about my dad, and just out of curiosity, I'm wondering if there are any folks in the audience who have been part of the Army or the Navy or the Marines or the Coast Guard. I'm going to send this out to y'all.
We got a couple in the house.
There are a couple in the house. My dad was a Marine, and I just got word this morning that from the Veterans Administration that his military marker will be ready in 8 weeks. He passed away during the COVID-19 crisis, and he wanted to be cremated, so we cremated him, and we had a small gathering of just the immediate family. But when we have the marker, hopefully with the rest of the family, the extended family, will be able to be there. But my sister wanted me to sing this one in honor of my dad, the former Marine. This is America, soldier, I just wanted you to know you're not alone as you feel the pain of every single blow. And now that you've come home, I know that there are wounds that some can't see. This is America. I'm here for you like you were there for me. I've got your six. This is America. I've got your back. Through every inner conflict, as the wheels come off the tracks, I've got your six. This is America. I've got your back. This is America. I'm a soldier. Yes, I know your pain. I am the veteran sitting at your 6 o'clock today. And this is your family. The black, the brown, the red, the white, the blue. This is America. Like you were there for me, I'm here for you. I've got your six. This is America. I've got your back. Through every inner conflict, as the wheels come off the tracks, I've got your six. This is America. I've got your back. Through every inner conflict, as the wheels come off the tracks, I've got your six. This is America. I've got your back. I've got your six. This is America, and I've got your back.
Mr. John Arthur Martinez, y'all. He's been our guest tonight on the Outsider Songwriter Spotlight Series. So glad to have you back on the show,
Thank you, Stephen
John.
K. Appreciate you.
I think you were one of my earliest guests when I started this series about 4 years ago, and probably over at Auslander back in the day. And I'm glad to have you back and on the show again. So.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you. You guys, John has some albums with him y'all can take home. It looks like he has some koozies, too.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, just out of curiosity, how many of you do not own a CD player anymore?
Good question.
Okay, there's a few of you. You can go to iTunes, and you can download the music, and iTunes will give me 90% of what you spend. So for $9.99, you can buy one of my albums, but iTunes will give me $9 out of that. So anyway, you can do that if you don't have a CD player, and or you can take a card, and I'll be happy to ship you one of the other 14 or the USB thumb drive. I now have a new product that has all 14 of my albums on one thumb drive for $75.
That's pretty convenient packaging. I like the USBs. I did that with my last one, and they're popular. So, well, John Arthur, thank you for being here. Again, y'all can look him up online, johnarthurmartinez.net. Thanks for the listeners here at Western Edge Cellars on Wednesday nights, 6:30 to 9.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
We appreciate those listeners on KFan 107.9 FM. Remember, folks, we're a small crowd, but we're mighty. Hey, folks, thanks for joining us online to watch the Outsider Songwriter Spotlight Series. That's right, we're taking this thing to a new level. Videos, every guest, every week. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell so you can be notified when we release new material. If you like the show and want to support us, you can tip through Venmo. There's a link below. Check out theoutsidersongwriter.com. That'll be up and coming soon. Thank you for your support over the last 4 years. The show's growing. We've had over 150 guests, and we promise to have a lot of new great songwriter guests. Please continue to share with your friends on your social media accounts. Come on into a show. Join us when you're in Fredericksburg. You can be a part of the live audience. Downtown under the dark of night, somewhere between shadow and light, over the edge of lost and found, you can hear neon, feel sound. Be well, folks. I know we're living in strange times. We'll get through this together. We'll see you soon.